All right, so the reason I'm kind of doing this video is, I see a lot of stuff about the information domain out there and a lot of things about Psyop and propaganda, misdirection, messaging, and so I thought just from a community standpoint, it would be good, since I used to do this as one of the many jobs in my military career, is to talk about what kind of is information operations, why is it important, why you should know how this works, so that you can kind of discern through all the junk that's out there, right? All the white noise that's out there, and kind of get a good idea of what may be happening and why things are being published. So that's kind of the why I'm going to do this video, and much deeper ones, and I'll tell you about those more towards the end. But understanding what is information operations. So information operations is employing a bunch of capabilities, these things right here: electronic warfare, computer network operations, which comprises of defense, attack, exploit. You might hear it as offensive cyber operations, defensive cyber operations, OCO, DCO. And then there's a Psyop element, which could range anywhere from a white to a gray to a black, and we'll talk about that. Military deception planning, that works in there as well. Of course, everybody who always jumps on OPSEC, right? OPSEC, bro, all that crap. And there's a bunch of supporting related capabilities that go with this too. But really, it's taking those capabilities and it's integrating them into a long-term plan that is trying to achieve a desired behavioral change or behavior, okay, to affect a decision, to affect a automated decision, a human decision, to affect overall perception. One of the things about this is that so often these capabilities are used stovepipe because we're not real good at it. The problem is that using these capabilities amongst themselves are good for some applications, but they're really bad if you're trying to assert dominance over the information realm, okay? A lot of times I had meetings where we had some event occur on a deployment, and senior leaders' response was, well, throw some IO on it, information operations, IO. Meaning for them that meant messaging, right? Condemning it, condemning the attack, condemning whatever it may be. Well, that's not how this works, and it doesn't work well like that. It's not a one and done shoot type of thing. It's an integrated plan over time using multiple capabilities throughout this to achieve whatever direct result that is, okay? So, and I've got some notes down here, but so we talked a little bit about effects. I did think it is really interesting to note that earlier, like 2013, 14-ish, they changed the Psyop name to MISO, Military Information Support Operations. The reasoning I had heard in talking to some of my buddies who were like fourth POG guys was Psyop was very negatively had a negative connotation to it, right? And it's kind of like, well, that's kind of what we're doing. Well, ultimately it ended up coming back now, 2017, 2018, to the term Psyop. I mean, that's what we're doing. And besides the white, gray, black, really how we cage stuff was, attributable, semi-attributable, non-attributable, who the message can lead back to. Okay, that'll be important later when we get into some of the more specifics and details. One of the reasons why I found that change of name interesting was around the same time frame. In my last deployment in Iraq in 9 and 10, you had to be very careful about messaging to U.S. persons and corporations' interests, because it was, I don't know if illegal is the right term, but it wasn't looked on favorably and you could have action taken against you because of it. Well, that restriction was lifted. I'm still having trouble finding that reference, so if anybody sees that reference, please let me know, because I would like to look that up again. And so I find that interesting because it basically allows misinformation to be publicly presented, no matter the audience, and there not be a penalty for doing that. So save then, again, a second conversation there for later. So except for one thing I want to relate it to, which was in my classified work that I did in collection, and you've heard this term too, the FISA warrants, right? You got to get a FISA warrant to be able to look at certain people. There's an actual court that'll sit there and say, yes, you have probable cause to be able to do X on this person. We'll talk again more about that too. This is just a straight beginning introduction into this. And we'll look at each one of these capabilities. Possibly the way I'm building this kind of plan out is actually building a fake plan through this, and you can kind of see I'm writing out some of the conceptual stuff here as far as looking at target audiences, effective message, how you go ahead and loop back and assess and see how that message has been effective. Gonna look at all of those things, all right? And again, reiterate, these capabilities are so much more powerful when you integrate them across capabilities and not just look at them from a one-trick pony, which is a lot of ways they're utilized. So with that, a lot of these things I want to talk about, I've always been really, really hesitant about talking to them in kind of an open YouTube form for a couple of ways or reasons. Number one, there's a lot of people and channels out there who jump on information, and I mean, if it gets it out to people, I really don't care. The problem I have is when they misrepresent information, don't present it correctly, and it just causes more problems than there should be with it, because they don't know what they're talking about. You know, secondly, I also don't want to push some of this stuff just kind of to the open, so I would rather limit the audience a little bit. And so I struggled with this back and forth, but I am going to start a Patreon page with, you know, very limited as far as how you can gain access to it, but it'll allow me to share after this a lot of the topics underneath here that I can feel a little bit more free and better about going through than just a wide open audience. And so that's one of the reasons I'm gonna start doing Patreon. If you feel like you wanna hear more about these things and how they tie together and why they're important, I'm gonna continue this series on there, and you know, check it out. If it's for you, great. If it's not, that's fine too. So hope you guys have a great day. I hope there's a little bit of glimmer of something in here that piques your interest and makes you go, I want to learn a little bit more about that. So talk to you soon.